Bonjour. Aujourd'hui, je me présente mon topic. Oh, sorry. I started giving my speech in French, and the speeches you heard till now were in English. Doesn't that change make you feel uncomfortable? Well, that's exactly what I'm here to talk about today. Why real change is uncomfortable and why that's necessary. I'm Palak Chawan and I study in the 11th grade. You might have heard of these new coming of age innovations: self-driving cars, AI, robotic knee surgeries, solar powered devices. All of these innovations have one thing in common: they have changed an old practice or way of doing things. Throughout history, whenever any old system, thought, or belief was challenged, people often resisted this change. Ever thought why? Let me tell you. If change were comfortable, we would all be doing it easily. Ending discrimination would be easy. Talking openly about mental health and chronic illnesses would be easy. Fixing broken education systems would be easy. But it's not, because real change asks us to do something very hard. It asks us to question what we're used to. And when that happens, people get nervous. Not because change is wrong, but because change threatens familiarity. The brain's primary function is to keep us safe and conserve energy. Routines and habits allow the brain to operate efficiently using established neural pathways. Change disrupts these pathways and requires more cognitive thinking, triggering a threat response, which can manifest as fear or anxiety. I'm sure we've all experienced change. Change is the one thing that is constant in life. A famous experiment conducted by John Ridley Stroop demonstrates this perfectly. In the experiment, people were asked not to read the word, but say the color of the ink. Why don't we try it out ourselves? It's frustrating, it's annoying, and that's exactly what the results showed as well. People hesitated, they made mistakes, not because they weren't capable, but because their brains were used to reading the word automatically. And when the brain was forced to switch patterns, it resisted. That's exactly what change feels like. Let me tell you a personal story. When I was young, we were shifting houses. People told me that it's exciting, you get to start off a new slate. But all I could think about was, what about my room? What about my window? What about the very place I cut my own bangs? And that's when I realized that I wasn't scared of the new house. I was scared of losing what felt familiar. That fear stayed with me. Fear of how quickly things can change. Fear of how little control we sometimes have. Fear of how fragile normal really is. When we talk about change, the two things that come across are fear and discomfort. We spoke about fear. What about discomfort? When we reach this stage, we have a choice. We can either quit or we can work towards what we were doing till now. It's difficult, but the fruit, we all know how success feels like. So let me tell you another story. Last week, we had a box cricket match in my building. And if you know anything about box cricket, you're aware that it's chaotic, it's loud, and at any instant, the game can change. The ball hits the wall and comes back at an angle you least expected. And at first, I felt frustrated. It felt annoying that I had to change so much, I had to adapt. What I realized was that maybe the game didn't become easier. I just became better at handling it. Change doesn't become comfortable. We become more capable. And needless to say, I was the man of the match for one of our games. So, thank you. So this change not only helped me adapt, but it taught me new skills that I definitely use in life, about how to handle pressure, how to handle stress. And something that I used during my 10th grade is what I'm going to share to you. Maybe you can try this technique at your house or whenever you feel stressed. And it was shared to me by my father, so it helps me a lot. First, we have to accept the discomfort. This is often where people go wrong, because accepting the discomfort already makes a problem look less intimidating. Maybe I have a big speech coming up or a test that I haven't prepared for. Accepting it already makes us feel like, okay, I can do this, it's easy. Second, Take small steps. Taking small steps doesn't mean fully finishing the problem or just finding a solution. Maybe you read one page, start writing one sentence, drink a glass of water, take a deep breath. And these small steps make us feel like, okay, this can be finished, this task is not that big. And lastly, learn and adapt. Whenever we're changing, it means a growth is happening in our lives. And learning and adapting helps us ensure that those skills can be used elsewhere too. I hope you remember this from my speech, that change doesn't ask you to be fearless. It asks you to take one honest step. And the question is if you're willing to take that step. Because the world we live in today exists because someone chose discomfort for change. And the world that will exist depends on whether you are willing to do the same. Thank you.